Well, here comes a video that a couple of weeks ago I don't think any of us were expecting, but I'm here to announce a new FM24 save. Of course, we've had the news over the last couple of weeks that FM25 has been delayed until March. We're not going to talk about that here because, of course, it's been covered pretty much everywhere already. But we have got to look forward to the next few months, and instead of moaning and complaining and being downbeat like everyone else, we're just going to crack on with a new save. And it's going to be a little bit different in terms of the way the content's presented on this channel, but also in terms of the style of save as well, something I've not done before, and because I want to get myself out of a couple of habits that all of my saves seem to drift into. So if you're looking forward to finding out a bit more about it, then please do put a thumbs up on it. But for now, we're going to talk about the aims of the save, the rules of the saves, and how the episodes are going to look. This is an introduction, as we say welcome to the Firefighter. Yes, officially we'll call this part 0 of the Firefighter from FM24 with me, Daniel. This had planned to be my supplementary save for FM25, so running at weekends alongside my regular long-term story. However, it is a save that can work with FM24, so do you know what? We're going to crack on and give it a little test run here. Hopefully you're looking forward to it, and hopefully it will provide a different style of management for me and open my horizons from what I normally do. Now, we've had a lot of problems this year with our long-term journeyman story, the head coach, because of the way the director of football and the squad building has worked in the background. And it's something that's caused a bit of frustration in the latter seasons of those saves. And of course, the one club story and the climb through England and even the climb in Scotland that we've had on Twitch this year, we've found a little bit easier than we have in previous seasons. So I wanted to do something that was going to test me in a different way. And I feel the Firefighter will do just that. It's an idea I've been playing with for a long time now. A save where we won't do daily regular updates going all the way along, but where we will have a dedicated episode, a feature-length special to every job and every season that we have. Let me explain to you a bit more about this save, and let me know down in the comments how you think it will go. So we'll start with the first of 3 sections, which is the aims of this save, the Firefighter. So we're sort of going to aim to become a survival specialist, be known as that career Big Sam, Tony Pulis. You get to February, Neil Warnock, you get there and you think, oh, we're in trouble. We're going to pull the trigger on a manager. Who do we go and get? We go and get a firefighter, a survival specialist, and he's going to keep us up. And that's what I'm going to aim to be. The idea of this is that we take on the duty of helping clubs in distress and leading them towards safety, or at least giving them a better chance, a little bit of hope and optimism. So as a result of that, we will have to pick our clubs quite sensibly, because we don't want a club that when we go in, it's going to be impossible to survive. But we also know that when we go into a job, we're not going to expect it to be easy. We're not going to want a club who's well above the dotted line in most instances. We're going to want a club who is in dire trouble and needs something, but one that I think there's a little glimmer of hope that we can keep them up. If not, doesn't matter. Survival specialists fail occasionally, but that's generally the idea we want to go for. Now, the aim of this save when we take over these clubs is, of course, that we guide them to safety or to their objective, to where they were meant to be in the league rather than the trouble they're in. But that comes with a few little caveats, which is we're not going to be long-term planning at a club. One of the things we do, whether it's a one-club story, and even in the head coach over the last 6 or 7 years on this channel, we've always aimed to plan for the long term, because we don't know how long we're going to be in a job. It could be 2 or 3 years. So we want to try and make things work for next season and the season after. Whereas when you've got someone like a Warnock or a Big Sam or whoever coming in January, February and March, they're not doing that. Their plan is to find a way to survive that season, to try and give the team the best chance of staying in the division or reaching their objectives, whatever it might be, and then planning to move on. They've normally only got a contract to the end of the season. So this is the biggest change for me when it comes to this save, and the reason I'm actually quite excited to do it, because for the first time I think ever in my time managing in Football Manager over 20 years, there will be no long-term planning. It will all be about the here and now. We come in and we focus on doing the job for that season. As a result of that, we will have a full say in transfers and contracts, but we won't be worrying about long-term AI squad building, director of football's on the squad planner and all of that stuff. Our job is to come in, spend whatever budget we've got improving the team, spend whatever wage budget we've got improving the staffing, trying to maybe build a staffing group that we can trust and then bring along to 2, 3, 4, 5 jobs with us as other people have done in the past. But most importantly, worry about the here and now. Don't focus on, oh, we could give this youngster a few minutes for next season, or, well, this player's more likely to be at the club next year than this one. If the best players are all 34-year-olds that can do a job and then are out of contract and it leaves a club in the mess the next year, so be it. We are there to firefight and to keep the club in that division or meeting their objectives. And that is a style of play that sounds quite simple on paper. A lot of you probably do it naturally. A lot of you have probably done it before. If not, I've never done it in FM. So it's the reason I want to have a go. And of course, the last aim or objective that sort of fits in with a rule as well, which we'll talk about in a minute, is that we're going to end up having a new club every season, because no matter what happens at the end of the year, we've either done our job or failed as a firefighter, and we walk out and wait for the next one. So there will be no pre-seasons. There will be no summer transfer windows. There will just be these chunks of between a quarter and 3/4 of a season where we've got to try and do a very clear job to keep a team meeting their objectives in a difficult situation. So with that, let's drift over towards the rules formally and talk about the clear rules we've got in place for this save. So the rules of the Firefighter are as followed. As we briefly touched on at the end of the aims, we were getting used to managing a new team each year, short-term planning only. So the first rule of the Firefighter is no matter what we do, we must leave the club we're managing at the end of each season. Even if we're not sacked or relegated, we meet the objectives, they might offer us a new deal, they might have given us a deal beyond the end of the season. We are going to make sure that we leave at the end of each year. We will not be managing a club over 2 seasons, but, and I must stress this, it's important, we've seen it before with, say, Moyes at West Ham. I know he ended up staying longer. We've seen it with other managers before. There is nothing to rule out me managing the same club twice. If I leave a club after managing them from, say, February to May, keeping them up, they end up in the same position a year later, and I'm the best manager for the job and they want me, fair enough, we'll take it. But we will only be firefighting. We will not be doing a job in between. Now, the other rules are quite simple ones. They're ones that follow most of my saves, but I need to make you aware of them anyway, just so I can refer people back to this video when I'm asked questions. We have got almost every league loaded in FM24. Basically, I've left out a couple of the ones in the most politically difficult situations at the minute because I don't want politics in my comments. But otherwise, we've got all the leagues loaded from all the nations. As many players as we can squeeze in. I think it's about 180,000 players. It's about 50 nations. There's loads of leagues. We're going to have a blast. Wherever the job comes, we'll go for it. However, we're also going to start with no badges or experience. Now, those of you who have followed my saves before will know we very rarely do that. I don't think we've ever started a save with badges or experience on this channel, and that's not going to change now. So the first few jobs are going to be dross. They're going to be deciding between probably the impossible and the almost impossible, and then maybe just hoping that in one of those first 2 or 3 jobs we can pull off an almost impossible and advance our career, because if not, without getting the badges, we're going to be relying on our experience, and if that's constant failures, it might be hard for us to jump up the ladder, as we've seen before in saves where we start at the bottom, particularly in the journeyman style. The other regular rule that we always have across our saves, which we will be keeping to here, is no using the player or staff search screen. The reason for that is because I want us to really feel the mess we're coming into at a club. So if we go into a job where a manager has left to take on a bigger one, so let's say my club Luton get promoted to the Premier League again, they get themselves into a spot of bother, and then the manager walks and gets a bigger job because he's still an exciting proposition, and he gets himself 5 of his backroom team with him. When we come in, we want to feel that those 5 people aren't there, and that we have to wait to get replacements. So we'll have to be relying on our scouting, we'll be relying on our coaching teams, but there's nothing to say I can't improve them using either the backroom advice, people I've known before, or potentially even from putting out job adverts as well. No other transfer rules. We can sign who we want, we can go and loan who we want, and it probably is going to drift me towards something that I don't often do, which is spending my budget. It's something I probably get stick for more than most in the comments because I try to build a club sustainably. I manage it as if it's my own money when I'm doing these long-term saves. Whereas here I've not got an excuse. I've been given a job to stay up and succeed or fail. in this finite time period. And if I don't spend the money, I probably won't do it. So we're going to make the most of the budgets we get. But there is one other rule here as well, and it's a crucial rule, because the idea of firefighting is you come in a situation and it's difficult. You've not got time. You've got to judge your players quickly on the job, and you've got to get the best team together. So as a result of that, we will not be joining any clubs in pre-season. Even if it's a club that's just survived, their manager walks out a week before the season or whatever, too early. We're not doing it. During the season is when we take jobs. When we start seeing that managerial merry-go-round, basically any point after the first month of the season, where people start getting sacked because they've had a surprisingly disappointing start. And that's why I say it could be anything from managing 35 games of a championship season to the last 7 of a second tier in Sweden or something like that, you know? That's what's going to be the difference in this save. We're not really going to be at a club for more than 50 games in all competitions, and most of them, I'd imagine, will be less than half of that. But no pre-seasons, no chance to build our tactical styles and our squad in advance. We come in when we've got to do the work on the job and put a bit of a juggling act together for all the different elements of management. So those are the rules in a nutshell. No badges and experience, nearly every league loaded. We must not use the player or staff search screen. We must leave the club at the end of each season, even if we do the job and they want to keep us on. And we must not join our new club in pre-season. We must wait until the seasonal managerial merry-go-round is in full swing and people start getting sacked. So that's how the save's going to work. That's what we're going to be doing. But what you guys probably want to know is how that's going to be shown on the channel. What are the episodes going to look like? Because as I've mentioned, for various reasons, this isn't going to be a daily, here's your video saved from every 6 to 8 weeks. It's not going to be one of those. Partly because I don't really think it would work for this format, but more importantly, because of personal circumstances and this unexpected period, I'm kind of having to juggle things a little. So most of you that have followed the channel for a long time will know that we are in the process of buying our first home, and we're going to be moving half the length of the country in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So there's no point me starting this series on daily videos and in 2 weeks down the line saying, sorry folks, just going to take a 3 or 4 week break. However, what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be traveling on trains a lot. I'm going to be waiting around a fair bit for things to turn up and things to happen. And I'm obviously going to be a bit quieter on my non-employed working days because I'm not making daily Football Manager videos. So I'm going to have more time to play FM, which is a luxury I don't often have. So the idea of this save is that it gives me plenty of time to play FM on the go, whether I'm on a train, whether I'm waiting for furniture, whatever else, without having to worry about, I've got to get a video out today, or I've got to record this before I do this one. I can't play this next 2 months until I've recorded this video with these 2 games in. That's the bit that was holding us back. So this will allow us to get through as much of a save as possible, but also me to show you most of the things I usually do, focus on a bit more of the stuff behind the scenes, transfer wheeling and dealing, coaching impact, which is something I always talk about but don't often get to show in videos, and also review how our work has played out. Look at the tactical style, look at how we've tried to gamble in certain situations, rather than just showing 2 or 3 games and commentating over them without really showing much of the behind the scenes stuff. So it is going to look very different to some of my previous saves. And as a result of that, we are going to do one sort of feature length episode per season / club. Now, there is a chance, I guess, if we manage a club that's in a winter to winter league and a summer to summer league, that we could have 2 clubs during a season. But generally speaking, most of the time, we're going to come into a job, finish the season, and that will be our year in management. But we're going to do 1 episode per club. So instead of getting your episode 1, 2, and 3, it will be presented as the Firefighter Club 1, the Firefighter Club 2. And those episodes will be released weekly on Sunday evenings most weeks. Now, I'm not going to promise there will be one every single Sunday night, because there are going to be odd instances, depending on the house situation and depending on other things and news around FM, which has been plentiful in recent weeks, that we may want to put odd other videos out. But generally speaking, the plan is to release a weekly video where we talk about our time in charge, because I'm hoping that even though we're going to be doing a year of processing between each episode, we're only actually going to be active for up to 6 or 7 months of that. So it's not like we're going to be managing full seasons. And the summer transfer windows are normally the ones that take a lot of time. So those elements are going to be gone. So that's when you can expect the videos and what you can expect in it. I've no idea how long they're going to be because it's not a style of save I've done before. However, I'll try and keep them under an hour for you. Make it almost as if it were the 3 episodes you'd be getting of a video series during the week, but just combined into one. And what those videos will consist of is a summary of the job hunting process each season. So the interviews we're offered, the club offers we receive, the jobs that come up that might have appealed to me that we didn't get an opportunity for. Because of course, I imagine that we'll get a lot of early interviews at clubs where actually the situation is impossible to retrieve. So it's not just going to be a case of I'll accept every job, because if the club's in the bottom league and almost certain to go down, it's pretty pointless me taking it, isn't it? But if I feel there's a chance, if I feel there's a minor opportunity, we'll have a go for it. After we've done that part at the start of the episode, the first chunk, of course, will be the introduction to the club. The sort of the episode you generally get inside a head coach when we join a new team. We'll have a look at the club, the players. We'll have a look at the tactic we aim to play for our first few matches. And then, of course, if it's before a transfer window or it's a league where you can do transfers throughout, we'll stop off to have a look at key transfer action, both in terms of players and in terms of staffing, before key stop-offs during the season, key games, key moments that might define whether we succeed or fail. And then at the end, a big season review where we have a look at very special moments. I'm not planning to show highlights of any full games like we do in our regular episodes. However, I guess if we're in a league where we're fighting against relegation and we make it, say, a playoff, I'll probably show that as a sort of finale in those episodes. So those ones might be 5 or 10 minutes longer. But I feel like if we get to a relegation playoff or a final day decider, I've probably got to show those matches, because that's the key part, isn't it? And that is the key objective here. Will we succeed or fail? But otherwise, you're not going to see too much match action other than odd special goals, hilarious moments, terrible red cards, whatever else. Little clips, but not really big chunks of matchday action. I really want to focus on the different areas behind the scenes and the things I'm doing at the club to try and improve the team in the here and now. Because all the things that I generally focus on are long term, aren't they? It's the individual training for young players. It's the mentoring. It's the data hub. They're the things that you've seen me working on before. Well, now it's going to be a little bit different. Hopefully you like the sound of it. Fingers crossed it's going to tide us over nicely to FM25, where I will be back to my usual. I've got a long-term series planned. I've got loads of guides and save ideas written, and you'll see all those videos and blogs over the next few months. But for now, I wanted to tide us over with something a bit different, and something that probably more importantly, after some of my frustrations in recent months, it will make me think a bit differently about how I manage in FM, a different type of challenge, and thinking about the short term rather than planning for a club to be sustainable in the future. So let me know what you think of the idea down in the comments. Let me know where you think we'll end up first. I'm sure it'll be a very low reputation and low quality club in a very perilous position, but that's the aim. Will we succeed in every job? Will we get some sackings? We'll wait and find out the answer. If you're looking forward to it and you're looking forward to this series, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. A quick note to say as well, I know there's disappointment for now, but a massive thank you to everyone who's pre-ordered FM25 via my link. There are details on the Discord and everything about how you can get a refund if you no longer want to continue with your purchase of the game, with it being delayed an extra 4 months. And there's also a link in the description if you do want to carry on and pre-order it anyway. We'll also be continuing our regular live stream series over on Twitch with Aberdeen, where we're having loads of fun. So I'm going to aim, as well as not having the daily videos, but by doing this series and by doing a few more live streams to make up the content over the next few months. And more so I can sit and have a chat with you guys while we're watching football rather than playing FM quite so much. But I am interested to know in the comments as well what saves you're planning to go with in FM24 to tide you over for the next 4 months during this delay. So let me know who you're planning on managing. If you're also doing something different than you would normally, you can find links in the eye above to our other key playlists from this year, the Twitch channel and the football podcast, where we're back with championship predictions every single match day during the season. You can come and get involved. It's a bit of a friendly, non-competitive competition there. But thank you very much for watching, for joining me for the introduction and the announcement of a new save. And I'll see you hopefully next Sunday evening as we get off the mark with a hunt for job 1 and see whether we can make a success of it. I'll see you there to find out where we end up and how we do.